Hey, how's it going, guys? Ramon here. Welcome back to a new episode. Today we're filming at the Center of Radical Education. We're going to meet with Darrick Doerner. He's going to go over his extensive historical collection of guns and all sorts of surfboards today. So as always, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button, comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay up to date with all things surf on the island of Oahu. Now we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Darrick, so stick around for the journey.
Whoa. Summer's coming. Good surf.
You know what? Marking this a little up. Is that okay? Okay, I didn't want to interrupt.
Here comes Josh.
No, they're fine.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Are we welcome to a long overdue dream through COVID, through everything. But I had an vision. I had a vision, and of course my family was beating me up on it, but I pursued it. And so this is the home base of Center of Radical Education. Also a build out for the Hawai'i Surf Museum, nonprofit, and then also the concept of Northshore Gun Club, speaking not guns like guns, but ammunition and so forth, but guns. This is the focal point of Hawaii, the North Shore, and North Shore got some big waves. And so my concept was, having rode big waves for so many years, I thought, well, if you break your board at Himalayas or Phantoms or Sunset Beach, it's like my time, you only had one board. So you had this concept, wow, I could go to the gun club in Waialua Sugar Mill, where we're gonna have 15 or 20 boards for sale at reasonable cost, and you could pick up a board and you could be back out in the lineup in the afternoon. Perfect concept. In my day, you'd have to go to your friend's house while he's working and go under his house to grab your board and so forth like that. So, and you break it, you pay for it, kind of a deal. We didn't have 40 or 50 boards in the old school. You had one or two. And that's what made surfing so soulful. So that was the concept between the gun club. As I could back up though, this place that we have here, the Sugar Mill, is 100 years old. The floors are 100 years old. This location is 100 years old. It's bulletproof. I've got 60-foot ceilings. That being said, we created the concept where we built a shaping room, and we've had the finest shapers in the world here. We had Rich Pavel for a while. We had Gerry Lopez. We have Alex Lopez. We've got Jimbo Yarbrough, titled Hail Yeah. We just recently had a friend of Austin's here who just did tremendous work. And it's open for use. It is and was built for Dick Brewer, and he was really a fun guy to watch shape. He's probably one of the most revolutionary geniuses in the world. And when you give him a planer, he's just remarkable. He's been actively involved in surfing and shaping boards here in Hawaii since the early 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, up to now. If you had a brewer, which by chance 90% of the boards out in the North Shore in the 70s, 80s were brewers, and they could get you in a lot of trouble, believe you me. So that concept was, let's create a shaping room where people understand the soul of a surfboard. For me, meeting with you or clients and picking their brains exactly what they want, and template-wise, size-wise, thickness, creating the whole thing, cutting the whole board out, turning the rails, going to eat lunch, coming back, finishing the board, and then sending it to the glass room where you custom order your glass job colors, placement of stickers, single fin, glass in fins, thrusters. Boards now are a lot different. They're all done by computers, whether they come from third world or whether they come from anywhere. They're mass produced. Pro surfers have anywhere from 30 to 50 boards. Maybe they don't ride 20 of them, so they give those back and then they get 30 or 50 more the next season. Boards that we create have soul, and they have special stringers in the board so they don't break like toothpicks, and The glass jobs are high-end, anywhere from $1,800 to $1,500 for the best. Jack Reeves is the best. So they last. They gotta last because they're expensive. It's part of your soul. So what you do is you tell him what you want, your shaper, and he's going to reflect that to his hands and his mind to the board. And it's just a win-win situation. Takes weeks to get your board. You get your board, you paddle out in the water, and you're connected to it. And that's really vital, and that's what we're trying to bring back. The sugar mill is a really active commercial and industrial area. It's the heart of the North Shore. We've got the best location and the best view and the best shaping room, so we can create that. We've got Paizel next door. He's just tremendous. We've got Ian Anderson, who's our t-shirt guy. We've got just such a good family here. We've got Jules sewing. We've got Pops over here. We've got everybody working together. So let's take a gander in the shaping room, where we start the process of heart and soul.
Heart and soul.
Don't mind the extension cords. This is total grassroots. There he is right there, Brewer, and there's his planer, and there if anybody knows who Brewer is, and of course you've got three of the best shaper surfers in the world, Sammy Hawk, Al Chapman, and Brewer, back in the research and developing days. And this is where it all starts. Pretty much you come in, we custom order you a blank, and it takes a little bit of time, but you see the bigger stringer ones. These ones are a little bit narrower. We got stockpiles. We've got really good stuff up here. That's the birth of a very, very Buzzy Trent model. It's called the Excalibur. I think it's 1010. And it's just a replica of what Brewer created. These are organic shaping room. I got to tell you, don't ever get foam dust in your eye. These are a lot of Brewer's templates. We were fortunate to receive templates from Brewer when he passed away. And what basically is you come through and you find a template of your specs, one that you like. Of course, Laird and I got a bunch of toe blanks in here. And you basically put it on the board with your shaper and you cut it out. Or, I hope this is okay. Or you can come along and we have what's called the new generation, where you come along and say you pick a board such as this. This is a 9.0 baby gun from Brewer. And you go through these different 3D scans. And for instance, oh, I like that one. Well, we can get this scan in a computer with a special blank. We can run it through the machine and it comes out about 80% finished. And then the shaper just comes in and cleans it up. But most of the boards in here are all done by the hand and eye. But sometimes the hand and eye is not perfect. These are a lot of Brewer's boards here, by the way, and we've got a lot of boards for sale. These are finished tow boards that someone never picked up. And here's a couple special ones right here. These are based off of a tow board that Laird and I did with Brewer about 35 years ago. These are wall hangers. That board right there is Redwood blank. It's probably 2,000 years old. And it was from a fallen tree. And what we did is we glued it together, and they're wall hangers. They're beautiful boards when they come out clear, which I have one almost done, and I'll show you. This board right here is very special if you're a wood freak or a boat freak. This is sequoia. And this was the only tree ever to be hand harvested. And of course, the procedure to get to the tree was granted to my friends on one condition: they hand harvest it. So they had to drive all the way up in the high Sierras. They had to get down to the tree, which didn't break because it fell in 30 feet of snow. And usually redwood trees, sequoia trees, you cannot touch them. You just have to let them drop and go back to the earth. If you're on a ski mountain or a snowboard mountain and your chairlifts, you see the trees that drop, they leave those, but they do a clearance for the chairlift. This is a Sequoia board. It's the only one in the world. I believe there's one other one. It's extremely valuable, and I think I'm going to keep it for myself. This was called the needle nose. This is right when we started introducing the sport of kings. And of course it was born from surfing. Then we started windsurfing. Then we started snowboarding, and we combined all those sports to this one sport. And you had to do the 3 sports to be really good at the 4th sport. You couldn't go around any areas, which a lot of people have. But you can see the difference between people who have and have not. All right, so let's go. Are we doing okay, brother?
Yeah, we're doing good.
All right, I'm gonna put this away and then we're gonna step outside here.
Okay.
A little bit of hell yeah, what you say. Of course, we do have the prospect of shutting the lights down either way. You can see where if we had a board on the rack, for instance, and everybody knows this, but you know, this is part of it. So you can see the difference in the board. And of course you can drop the lights or lift the lights up. It's all custom. We do have a tube there where you can hook your planer up and all the dust goes into a bag. Or like most OG shapers, bare feet, everything goes on the ground and then they sweep it into a corner at the end of the day and the next person comes along. Or you can throw this light on and you can see the complete difference of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. One's made for one, but when you get down and dirty, this is the one you want.
All right.
Yeah. And then of course, this is really important too. Just the little adjustments, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's amazing.
And some shapers are so good and other shapers are learning. And if you're learning, don't give up. It's a frustrating concept. If you get lost, you could go to Josh or Hell Yeah or Otis or anyone, or Brewer back, and he could fix it really quick. For me and you, what did I do?
Yeah.
I gotta take this down a little bit. I believe this is Ashton's board right here, and he's just playing with the concept. These two over here are Reno Abellira, who is one of the finest shapers in the world. Wish we could get him to do some more work, but it hasn't happened yet. This is a complete blank, glued together prior to it being shaped. And these are complete blanks prior to it being template and cut out and given to you. When I first came to the North Shore in 1974, I lived on the Big Island. I was going through high school. Surf is really small on the Big Island. It's called Surf Prison. But we always listen to the radio, KKUA, and the North Shore is 15 to 20 feet, but we're at Banyans and it's 2 to 3 feet. Well, that didn't last long. Right when I graduated high school, me and David Kahanamoku came to this island and became full-time lifeguards. I started at Waimea Bay. One day we're surfing Laniakea. It was really, really big. And back then, surfers were really good. Very good. You know, you had the James Jones and the Barry Kanaiapunis and the Hackmans and the Ricky Greggs and the Greg Knowles and James Jones. And I mean, you had to find your pecking order of these little kids. And they didn't share too much. One day I was at Giant Laniakea and the pecking order was outside and I took off on this wave and I never saw my surfboard again. I swam a mile. I sat on the beach all day until my dad came and said, well, how's the surf, son? And I went, well, it was all right from the beach. He goes, well, what do you mean? I go, where's your board? And he goes, well, I don't know. So the next day we went down to town, Kapi'olani Boulevard, and there's a Dick Brewer surfboard shop. We walked into the shop and This was on the wall. It was $150. And it's a hand-shaped Dick Brewer gun. You can ask Randy Rarick, you can ask anybody, do you still collect your boards? Do you still have boards from the 70s? And I go, oh yeah, I do. I don't sell my boards. I might give it a bro deal to give you one, but I've never wanted to sell them. That's why I have this. This board was called the Ferrari. Custom fin. They don't make boards like they used to, and if you look at the name right there, and this board was made in 1974, and it's still in one piece.
Wow.
Whereas boards now, like my son, can break 8 boards in 1 week.
Yeah. They don't make them like that anymore.
They don't make a lot of things like they used to make, but you know, the shelf life, right? Now here's a very special one. As time evolved, lifeguarding them, I ended up out in the outer reefs. I ended up at Big Waimea Bay, and Brewer did a bunch of boards for us. And here's a very special one. This is South Sea Motors gave us 8 boards, and I gave them to my various friends. And it was a Brewer, and if you look at the tail, whoo, and it's got my name on it. It's made in 1986, and in 1988, Super Bowl Sunday, Dallas Cowboys against the Green Bay Packers, big time. It was 2 feet in the morning, 15 feet at noon, 30 feet by 3 in the afternoon. And I was at a barbecue, but I was told to go surfing. So I went and got this board, ran down the beach, waited for an hour to paddle out. Back then you had to really be careful. You had to plan your paddle out. You had to plan your paddle in. No jet skis. There was no safety. It's just pure from soul and love. And this is the board, and I caught this giant wave. And it became, it went around the world very quickly, as like Peter Cole would say, that was a real hooter, Derek. And when I paddled out, nobody was on the beach. Mark Fu, me, Brock Little, Bradshaw. But when we came in, there was about 1,000 people on the beach. The game was over. Everybody was pretty ripped. And I got that wave. And it was really a historical moment from my time. Yeah. And I never sold it. Awesome. I lost the board for about 25 years. It went for a photo shoot and it never came back. And when Dick Brewer passed away, I was reached out on iMessenger, I think it's called, Messenger. Yeah. And my phone pinged and I picked it up and there was a guy there. God bless his soul. He said, I think I have something that belongs to you.
Wow. It's amazing.
He gave it back to me.
Yeah.
When Brewer passed away, I paddle out on this thing, but I'll never, I mean, if I were to break it, it would just be priceless. You couldn't replace it. So all these boards, everything that I have, is property of my son, Tiger, and the museum. And as boards go, as we were surfing back in the old days, it was from the heart, it was from the soul. Yeah. You had to be really good at what you did. Yeah. So we started developing boards bigger for the outer reefs. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Sorry.
We're just
interrupt.
You guys are good. Come on.
I figured that he was giving you the goods.
It's all organic, man. Welcome.
Rob, Derek, Ross, meet you.
I'm just trying to make it like yours. So as time evolved, we started wanting to get out of the crowds. Waimea was crowded. People started showing up to be like us or to just quest the big waves. Isn't that funny how back then we didn't want to be big wave riders. We were just drawn to the uncrowd. So it was uncrowded, so we just went out there and we had to be really good swimmers, We had to stick together. We had to know our stuff. We didn't have any rescue supplies. We didn't have anything. We had to swim in. These boards were all done. This is a Billy Hamilton, most unbelievable shaper in the world. This is Laird's dad, Laird Hamilton. We call him Hambone. Yeah. By far one of the most cleanest shapers. Everything works in motion. It's like a teardrop. All handmade. This is a goat's head, baby. So this is Momo's board. It's a really good friend of mine, Brent Bispo. One of the most fantastic craftsmen in the world. Super happy, super small guy, tough as ever.
Yeah. We have lots of video of Momo at sunset on that board.
And she's got a bunch of other of my boards.
Yeah.
Brett lost his life December 2nd, unfortunately. So we thought we would bring this down from Momo and display his boards. And here's another ham bone, and God bless you, Brent. But he was such a master, and I said, Momo, what color do you want? What would you like? And on the sole, she said, magenta. And I think that's about as magenta as they come.
Yep, it is.
This is a painting off a picture that was taken to Momo. She surfs really, really good. Momo Sakuma from Tokyo, who's been here for 25, 30 years. She's a master soul surfer from Japan. It's good to the last drop is all we could say. And Drew Toonz is love as a smoke. I mean, just look at what he does out of his head. These are all burning spears. They were all shaped by a revolutionary, most unbelievable surfer from New Zealand, moved to Australia, Alan Byrne. And he shaped with his own hand and eye, and he shaped the famous channel bottoms. And that's the concept is the watermelon seed. You put the seed in your fingers and you squish it and it pops out. This is a Waimea gun that he did me for the Eddy, one of my mini Eddy boards. And that's his haka on one side. And when they made the surfboard, his Maori friends came down and they did a whole haka to bless the board before it got shipped here. And, it was given to me by Rabbit Bartholomew, a fantastic surfer. So as we go this way, we've got more guns, but I just didn't want to bring too many. These are Pat Rawson boards for the Eddy. These are all Eddy boards. I mean, you could ride these boards now. They're a little bit narrow, but this is a Pat Rawson, and it was called the Acid Splash, or I call it the root beer float.
Yeah.
Glass tin fins, little baby swallow, in one piece. Still, concept is if you don't fall off on the takeoff at Waimea Bay, your board won't go on the rocks, but if you do wipe out at the takeoff, it will go on the rocks. And we didn't have very many cords back then because we thought we would drown with the cord. You know, there's pros and cons with it, where now everybody wears cords. Half the people don't even know how to get to the beach, let alone get off the beach. And so we're going to introduce that concept with Bragg to try to teach people that the ocean is right there. Don't turn your back on it, and study it from the sand and vicariously go out there. As the lifeguards say, man, you know, when in doubt, don't go out. It takes years and years to become a master waterman, big wave rider. And that history needs to come back. One of the best things that needs to come back is respect your elders. You know that. One of the best shapers in the world is Rich Pavel on the green room. And this is a fish that he did for us. And then the fin concept back here is just super dynamic, super prototype. A lot of designs can vary. Everybody does their own thing, their own concept. And this was our concept with Rich. It goes berserk. All right, now, let's just keep on the ground first.
Okay.
These are brewers, these are true brew. This one was designed for me for Sunset and Waimea. This one was made for me by Brewer. It took a long time to get, and it's a balsa wood board. And it is chambered. So it is hollow on the inside, little chambers. And there was a time when Sunset got really windy, real windy. You left the wooden boards at home and you pulled out the wood boards, and the wood boards would cut right through the wind. And so it was life and death with Big Sunset. And so you needed, everything was, you know, you were only as good as your machines. Nowadays, these kids go out there and, I got my 5'11" and 6'4", and I'm like, what? It's when you see Nelson Godoy and Slater and John and the Monises, they go out at giant Haleiwa on a 5'11". Their skill level is just in another league. Where my generation and a little bit older, size matters. This one was designed by Dick Brewer and Jack Reeves Glass Job, Surfboards Hawaii. And it was in collaboration of Dick Brewer and Lyle Carlson. And it was a donation to me by one of my best friends, Kimo James Allen from the Big Island. And I made a promise that I would never put it in the water. Yellow and fire engine red, baby. I think if you were to show up at the beach with this board, people might go, wow.
Wow, yeah.
Jack Reeves is by far one of the best glassers in the world, hands down. You give him a board, don't even bother him for 6 months. So it's ideal to give him a board if he takes it in the springtime, because maybe you'll get it by October, November. Yeah, he's really busy. These are just some more prototypes. This is a Lopez that Gerry gave me, most revolutionary board. 4 inches thick, 10-6. It was made for Piahi, but I don't ride Piahi anymore. And I have no interest in it. It's for the next generation. This board was Laird's. It's a beautiful brewer. But it was a time where Laird was really into other sports and tow surfing. He began foiling, and he said, I don't prone paddle anymore, you hang on to it. So Tiger will ride it. This is another one right here. And by the way, these boards, some of them are for sale. That was a brewer for Dana Wolf. There's a Billy Hamilton. And we're just gonna keep going over here. And this is our shrine for my good brother, Gerry Lopez. These are all his.
But they're really excited about sponsoring that type of stuff, and especially this one. Love that. Because that's the idea, is to get like.
And by the way, that's if you zero into the right, that's
Carrying it forward. A lot of the old guys.
Ian Anderson over here on the right. He's my t-shirt guy, my neighbor. And we're organic over here. We're talking.
You ever need screen?
You ever need?
Most of the people watching.
If you ever need the good t-shirts, he's my neighbor.
One of Ian's shirts on. Ian's printed shirts for everyone for the past 25 years.
He did all of mine, Northshore Gun Club. So these are all, this is Gerry's personal. This one never made it on the rocks. And then some of these are Indo boards. And then this is a kind of funny one. This is a little tow board. And it was made for Die Another Day, James Bond movie. And that's my prototype. And then these are there's a Northshore board that Gerry wrote in the movie, Northshore. And I think he played Fast Eddie. He was Fast Eddie in the movie. What else? We go. These are some of my wind boards, asymmetrical, when we were learning how to ride the outer reefs. Why paddle when you could fly? So we got board surfing. So we started windsurfing from backyards with Robbie Nash and the Yardbirds, and we'd launch all the way out to the third reef, ride all the way through sunset. And so these boards were made, the pin, the bottom turn, and the off the top, looser. And we mastered the lineups. So when we started tow surfing, we had the lineups from windsurfing. Can't catch a freight train on a bicycle. You got to match power with power. And that's why paddle surfing and tow surfing, there's a line that you draw and you step over that line. And you can't catch those big waves paddling, but they are. But then there's a line, such as the day they ran the Eddy, where you couldn't get near the waves, and that's why we developed the Sport of Kings with tiny little surfboards, which we have over here. These are 2 tow boards from Gerry, and there's a Die Another Day one, and then there's a brand new one from Gerry, and they're about 6'4". They're very heavy. It's the snowboard concept. You don't need this big board to paddle. You just strap up from windsurfing. And goes back to snowboarding, where we're riding these giant mountains, and we get to the bottom, we're looking at our little tiny snowboard, and the bell went off. And why would we have these big giant guns when we could make a tiny little snowboard, surfboard style board, sling into these giant waves? Of course, there's controversy, I'm gonna paddle it. But when we first introduced the jet ski was in Waterworld, and Brian, Kalani, Terry, myself, and Laird, we kind of really put it together. And when we came back to Oahu with Point Break 1, we had to introduce the concept that jet skis were for the ocean. What took us 30 minutes to an hour for a rescue took us 30 seconds. They saved lives. And so we had to introduce that concept to the city, and they accepted it. So that became safety mode, which now you just got to put the right guys on the ski. You're only as good as your ski. This is a 12-foot gun by James Jones, one of the finest big wave riders in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. You'll catch him at Kaiser Bowls 7 days a week. And this is for Kalani Foster, God bless his soul. Lyle Carlson, it's 11.6. He was 280 pounds, so Lyle developed a big board for him. I believe, here's another Indo board that I have, and this would be the first lifeguard motorized surfboard in the state of Hawaii.
Wow.
From, I believe, Ocean Safety. It was a donation to the museum, and I believe Aloha Ka'eo and the Beach Boys used it a lot. This would be Eddie Aikau personal board. It was just retrieved under a friend of mine's home that passed away, and his family said, go at it. So back in the day, Ramon, you left your board on the North Shore if you went to town. So you got in your car and you drove your VW or your Fiat or your bust up Toyota. All cars were the same back then. And you went out to the country on Cam Highway, one road now. And he would grab his board under Peter's house, sunset, go surf, come in, put it under the house, and drive back to town. And that was the whole thing. It was really cool driving down Cam Highway too. You see surfboards on a car. You go like this, or you go like this. Oh. And then sometimes you'd come over from town, guys, all our boys, we're out here in the country, no internet, no surf report. They'd come over the hill and all sugarcane, dancing hula sugarcane, and it would be all white water, and you go, ooh, I think I brought the wrong board. So that's when boards started increasing, and on and on and on. It just doesn't stop. Now I've got all these boards. Like I said, I don't sell anything. I've got another 50 at my house, but we're just going to stop at this right now and introduce this fun project that, well, we had a soft opening with 200 plus people. Wow. But welcome aboard to all of it. I do have photos, we'll tie that together. Some of these boards are priceless too. I mean, shoot, I could just go on and on and on about them. There's a hand-shaped Donald Takayama from Honolulu, but he did it in Hawaii. And a Reno. Now, back in my time, and ahead of your time, every 3 months a magazine would come out on the shelf. And being surfers in different parts of the world, when a surfer magazine came out, you went and bought it real quick. And when you went through the magazine, it brought you to places, Noah Johnson, Waimea Bay, that you didn't live at. And so it was your connection to being a surfer. It was the same thing like a surf movie. It would be on the telephone pole, 5 Summer Stories, Innermost Limits of Pure Fun, Bruce Brown. It would come to your theater, and your mom would drop you off at the theater with $1.50 for popcorn, and your surf gang was over here, so you went over there, and there was Redondo Beach, and there was Northshore, and everybody, the doors would open, and everybody would go in so excited because you've been building up for 6-8 weeks. Everybody's in there, the lights go off, the whole theater lights up, screaming, yelling, and then all of a sudden he'll be Hackman or Lopez dropping in, and it puts you to that destination, and it just tweaked your mind. No internet. You had to do it all on foot or by bike or hitchhike. The movie would end. You'd go home and you'd wake up at 5 in the morning and you'd grab your board if you didn't have to go to school. And you'd go down to the beach and be onshore wind, blown out, rainy, and you'd still go out because you want to be like those guys in the movie. This being the focal point of surfing the North Shore. Of course, there's great surf spots all around, Nazare, Mavericks, Waimea. This is where you come to become a master waterman, the man. And it'll make you, break you, or kill you. Never turn your back on the ocean. She's very, very strong. Mother Nature. This year we've had the best surf we've had in years. Not big, but perfect pipeline, perfect pipeline. We've had some really bad injuries. And I think now with the amount of people being in the lineup, it pushes you deeper, like Slater would say. It's creating a problem. And then, of course, everyone wants to be the next pro. And so you have to get photos for those to be sponsored surfer, which I can understand. But in the meantime, you know, you can die. So really get your thought pattern together. Don't do stupid things. Be a good swimmer. Respect your elders. And I'm OG. Mike's OG. There's very few of us left that are vertical still. And so, that being said, welcome.
Hey guys, Ramon here. Thank you all for tuning in to today's video. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell to stay up to date with what's happening here on Oahu. If you would like to watch more videos, check out our playlist.